Good afternoon, everybody. This is Kevin with Texas Yard Man and More, and it is the Labor Day weekend 2023, and I decided to cook a pig on my Traeger smoker. I've had this pig harvested maybe 2 months ago or so. It's a young, tender pig. It'll fit perfectly on my Traeger, and figured I would show everybody how I go about doing that. And you're going to cook this at about 250, 275, and it's going to be about 20 minutes per pound. This pig is about 15 pounds when it's all dressed out, like you see it right here in this video. And one way you can weigh that is, if you don't have a food scale, is you can just literally bring out your scale in your bathroom and hold up the pig while you're standing on the scale. Mark the difference between your weight and then when you're holding the pig to see what the difference is, and that'll tell you the weight of the pig. So it's a quick, easy way to do it. I've got numerous types of seasonings over here. I have all kinds of different ones. Really, you can use whatever you like. Cooking, barbecuing is really all done according to the way that you like it. There's no right or wrong way, so that's why I do these videos, is to encourage people. And you just kind of find the seasonings you like. So I've got several different ones here. I've got a rib rub. This is made by Fiesta brand. I live here in Central Texas, and that's sold at HEB. This is probably my favorite brand of seasoning. They have all different types of varieties. They don't break the bank like some of them. I've got steak seasoning and plenty other ones. Chicken rub. This is really, the chicken rub is my go-to for just about anything. You can put it on chicken, beef, pork, fish. It makes everything taste good. And I think I'm going to use this today, and we're going to see how it turns out with this pig. This is the first time I've cooked a young pig. This is a pig I harvested out on my property. It is a wild pig. So that basically means that it's a domestic pig that has escaped and became feral. And Texas has over 2 million pigs running wild, and they are very elusive. They don't like to be around people, so you don't have to fear them. But I have feeders that come into that are on my property that feed corn, hard field corn, and I get hundreds of these guys coming into my feeders. So they compete with the deer, and I'm really after the deer and the antelope. We have antelope here, which are considered exotics in Texas, and those are prized eating, even better than a whitetail. They taste a lot like beef, but today we're featuring this pig. They are very lean, as you can see, not a whole lot of fat on them. And you want to try to cut off as much of the fat as you can, because you don't want any kind of a gamey taste, especially in the larger pigs. These smaller pigs are not as fatty because they're just starting out, but there's hundreds of these. Like, I get tons of pictures of pigs coming into my feeders, so I decided to harvest one perfect size for the Traeger. And so I am featuring a video, first time on the Traeger. I'm not an expert. I just do these as DIY videos. Don't be afraid to do this yourself. You can order domestic pigs from your butcher at your local grocery store. Pig is plentiful. Pigs are very inexpensive because they rapidly reproduce. That's why you can get a whole rack of ribs at the grocery store for about $10 here in Central Texas. So in other parts of the country might be a little bit more, but pig is very plentiful. So I'm going to start out by using some canola oil. This just helps keeps the seasonings on the pig, so you want to shake it up. And I'm going to go ahead and spray on the outside. If you notice, it doesn't have the skin on it. I cut the skin off, and I harvest these animals myself because I like to eat wild game. And these are a local favorite amongst many people here in Texas. They are, you know, depending on how you make them, they are really tasty. So, and the smaller ones usually taste better, but the big ones are fine too if you're looking for a lot of meat. But this one dressed out is 15 pounds. And I'm going to go ahead and put some of this rib rub on here. And I apologize because I'm doing this video one-handed. So I'm going to see if I can get this lid off. There we go. I had to use my right hand for that, the one that was holding the camera. And just kind of a nice to do this over the Labor Day weekend. It's a nice laid back 3-day weekend for me. And we're just going to go ahead and start sprinkling this pig. And you want to make sure you cover them up everywhere. Do both sides. You can do the inside of the chest cavity. You know, most people may be squeamish about harvesting your own animals, but what you got to look at is if you eat any kind of meat in the grocery store, you're just having somebody else do this. I have no problem harvesting an animal if I'm using it for food. And if you eat steak, chicken, fish, you know, any kinds of those meat products, then you're just having someone else do it for you. So, and we have plentiful pigs in Texas, domestic and feral. So that side's got a good amount of seasoning on it. I'm going to go ahead and flip it. And I've already cleaned up my cutting board and all that. I'm going to spray this side as well. Sorry about the camera work, but doing the best I can. There we go. We've got some canola oil on there. And we're going to go ahead and you can see this is where the round went into the animal. Dropped immediately, no suffering. That's what I shoot for, is like a perfect shot, because I'm an ethical hunter. I don't like to see animals suffer, but this one just dropped immediately. So that's why it's important to sight your guns in, make sure they're accurate, and that you're familiar with your own rifle. So there's other seasonings here like onion powder. I've got some minced garlic, and I've got some coarse pepper, black pepper. I bought that at Academy. If you know, Academy sells a lot of seasoning as well for hunters, outdoorsmen. So I'm going to use some of that. And if I can get this open, let's see here. Gotta pop it open. There we go. So we'll just sprinkle that on. And this is what a lot of the barbecuers use for brisket. They'll just completely cover the brisket with this coarse black powder, or pepper, I mean. And I like it that way. I like the taste of pepper. It's just your regular table pepper, but it's more of a coarse ground pepper. It's really tasty. I like it. So we're going to cover every bit of this animal, and it's going to slow cook on my Traeger for about 2.5 hours or so, and then we're going to put the thermometer in it to see what the internal temperature is of this pig. I have all those gadgets, and I'm going to put some onion powder and some garlic on this as well, like garlic powder. And it's going to require me having 2 hands, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here and finish up the seasoning, and then I'll be back. And we're back. I'm here on my back patio, and I figured I would include the lighting of the Traeger grill. It's a pellet smoker, and it runs off electricity. And so I'm going to go ahead and take off the cover and get this thing lit, just so it can heat up, so it's ready for the pig. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. take that out. And here is the electric cord. You got to plug this in. So we have electricity now. And if you open up your lid here, you'll see your model number. This is the TFB88GLF. I bought it from Costco. I think it was about 1,100 bucks. And it's 95 watts. And I'm going to bring in the camera so you can see the pellets. So that is your fuel source. They're just pellets that you can also buy at Costco. I don't buy this is the Kirkland Signature brand. Much cheaper than the Traeger brand. So you just want to make sure that this is full before you light the grill and you don't run out. And I love this grill, or smoker I should say. Make sure we get a good picture. I'm going to go ahead and top it off. And there's the brand. This is a mixture of oak, hickory, maple, and cherry. And you want to make sure you level it out. And this is what a pellet looks like. It's basically, this is wood dust or sawdust. I'm not sure exactly where they get it. Probably in a sawmill somewhere, and then they compress it into pellet format. And then people like us use it for barbecuing. Kind of an ingenious idea. And then in here you have a meat thermometer that you plug into the front of the smoker. I haven't used this yet. I really don't need to because I have another thermometer that's external. I just keep that right here. And then inside the center base of the Traeger is an auger, and that's what drives the wood pellets to where they can heat up and burn. So you have to kind of do a like a priming of the smoker. So you want to do that from the control panel here. It's digital. So you just simply press this button. Oh, I think they might be unplugged over here. Stand by. Yeah, it was unplugged at the house, so let me go ahead and... There we go. So you're going to have a menu come up, and then you want to hit menu, and then you want to do auger, and then you want to prime the auger. And it takes 3 minutes to go ahead and prime it. So there's like a corkscrew that drives these pellets in towards where the heat source is. And so that takes about 3 minutes to get the Traeger ready. So we're just going to wait here a minute or two. And it states auger priming, and then it has a countdown, like a little stopwatch. And you'll hear sounds in there. You'll hear it kind of, the auger twisting. And it's just pushing all those pellets to where they need to be. And sometimes if you don't do that, your smoker isn't gonna get those pellets like it needs. So it kind of helps, it helps with the process. In the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna open up the grill and just kind of take a look inside. I'm gonna back the camera out a little bit. I love this smoker. And it's got a little bucket on the side over there to the left. I don't know if you can see it here. It just hangs there, and then all the drippings go into that bucket, and then you just pour it into some kind of container to dispose of it. So we'll open this up. And then there's a pan inside here on the bottom that collects all the drippings. you definitely want one of those. You can buy them, replacements, online, or you can buy them at any kind of place that sells grills, Traeger grills. They're just kind of like a add-on, just like the bucket. And I went ahead and bought some little magnet hangers for the side there. You can see that the grill brush is hanging there. I just bought some magnets that have a hook on them. And then down here, you got 1 minute left, is a vent. And then down here is like a bread warmer. So you can warm or keep stuff warm down here, like bread, like buns and stuff like that. And it has a temperature gauge on it, so you know how hot it is. And we have 29 seconds left for the priming to be done. So we're almost there. And then we're going to light it. Apologize for my voice. I'm a little under the weather with some allergies, I think. So my voice might be distorted a little bit. And I do a lot of barbecuing out here. I haven't done too many videos on it, but I figured I would do one here. Okay, it's complete. So now we want to do done. And you want to turn this dial for the temperature. So I'm going to set it at about 250. And then you're going to press in on this big button. And then you're going to hit ignite. So now it says it's igniting. Right now inside that is 111 degrees inside the smoker. Just sitting here out in the sun. So you're going to see this thing come up to temperature on the digital display. And you'll start to see smoke come out of the pipe there. And basically what that is it's burning off a lot of the prior grease from like stuff that I've cooked previously, like burgers and pork chops and steaks and stuff like that. So this is not a fast way of cooking. This is more of a slow way. If you're into the cooking fast, you can actually use a gas grill. That's almost like immediate, kind of like in your house. But I also have a Blackstone flat griddle, and I use that a lot for burgers and sausages and stuff like that, and that runs off of gas. So that's my alternate. And some people like to have every single possible grill they can get their hands on. I do have a charcoal grill, but buying charcoal and lighter fluid, it does have a different taste, but I don't do it a whole lot, but I do have one. So let's see if the smoke starts to come out here. Temperature says it's igniting. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to bring this up to the temperature that you set it at. I have it set for 250 degrees, and I'm going to cook it for about 2.5 hours, something like that, or 2 hours 20 minutes. And like I said, I haven't done a pig before, so we're just kind of experimenting. You can go out and read on the internet what temperatures and how long you should cook a whole pig. I have no idea what even a whole pig costs in the store, but they can't be that much. Pigs are very plentiful. So I'm gonna pause here, and then we'll come back when I start seeing smoke come out. Be right back. And we're back. It's about 1.5 minutes later, and you can see all the smoke coming out of the smokestack and off to the side there where the bucket hangs for the grease drippings. You can probably see it in the video now. See if I can zoom in. It's a silver galvanized bucket, and you can buy little aluminum trays to put inside of that, so you don't have to keep cleaning the bucket itself. It makes it so much easier, and you can buy those online on Amazon. You can Pick them up at any place that sells Traeger grills. And you can see it's starting to burn off all of that smoke coming out of the stack there. And so temperature is going up. It's at about 127 and it goes up about a degree every 3 seconds. So we just got to wait till it hits 250. That'll be operating temperature, and then I'm going to put the pig on. So I'll be right back. Alright, I'm here outside of my patio and I have the pig all seasoned up on the cutting board. I would make sure you wash it really well, remove any of the excess fat or you know, the smaller skin that you would find on an animal. Just cut that back. There is no skin on this animal, so it probably is going to require a little bit less time because of that. And we'll keep an eye on it. But another thing I wanted to point out with the grill is when you set it, it's going to go above what you set it to for a while, because it's going to cook the grill that's inside. It's going to burn off any fat or stuff that was left behind from the previous barbecue. So don't panic. It's going to go back to the temperature you set it at. Takes a little bit of time, so I'm not seeing any more smoke come out of this, so I'm gonna go ahead and open up the Traeger and scrub the grate, and then I'm gonna put the pig on. And I flattened the pig so that it can lay flat, but we'll see how it goes first, if I have enough room to do that. So here we go. So you can see the grates have a lot of previous food stuck on it, and the heat helps loosen that up. And then you just take a brush and you clean it up. And since this is a whole pig, you want to do the whole grate. And then you'll see after this, sometimes people down here in Texas will cut an onion in half, and then they'll take a fork, like a big serving fork, and they'll rub it back and forth on the grill to help clean it, and maybe even season it a little bit with some onion flavor. So I don't do that usually. So this is ready to go. So I'm simply going to pick the pig up. I'm going to lay it flat. And I think that's going to work, spreading it out. So you want to make sure the legs are spread so it can cook inside. And then you just simply let it cook. And then it's at 240 now. Now it's going to focus on getting hotter. And then we're just going to periodically check it. And maybe at about an hour and a half, I may wrap it in foil just to kind of create a Dutch oven. And that way the internal meat will get really cooked and just fall apart. And if you've ever had a pork brisket sandwich, that's one thing I'm going to be making with this. And then I'm going to be making pork tacos, shredded pork tacos. And we're going to serve it alongside some pico de gallo with some flour tortillas. It's going to be amazing. And I have done that before with a pork roast, but I'm going to use some of the meat off of this to do it as well. So that's all there is to it. You can do this. Don't feel like you can't. It's very simple. Just experiment and enjoy using the Traeger. And I'm going to be right back. I'm going to let this cook, and then I'll keep checking on it. You want to make sure you have some gloves on because your hands are going to get messy. And you'll see a lot of other barbecue guys do that as well. So we'll see you when we come back. Thank you. And we are back. It's been about an hour and 20 minutes, so I'm going to check it. So let's go ahead and open this up. And you can see it's been cooking nicely. Got some good dry meat there, and the internal meat will be nice and tender. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this for a little bit, and we'll take a look at what it is. So I'm going to set the camera back down here. So now I have it on its backside, and I'm gonna go ahead and close the lid, and then I'm gonna get some broth to inject into the animal and keep it nice and dry, and then I'm gonna wrap it with foil in a little bit. So everything coming along. It's been hovering at around 250, so it's looking good. Be right back. And we're back, and I was inside looking for my injector, and I do not know where it's at. So I've got some more of the canola oil. We'll just use that to moisturize the outside. Just spray it on there. Keeps it nice and moist. Then I have a couple of these temperature probes. And they have a little dial in there, and it'll tell you where it's at as far as temperature. Right now it's still not hot enough. It's not even at medium, so we're going to go ahead and keep cooking it. So we've got about another hour and 15 minutes left. And we'll come back. Alright, we are back, and it's been on there about 2.5 hours at 250, and so we're going to take the pig out, and I'm going to test it first. I've got one of these digital thermometers, and we're going to see what the internal temperature of that pig is. Make sure it's cooked. So it's at about 185 degrees, 184, 185, which should be sufficient. And that's in the thickest part of the animal. And it's a little bit lower up here for some reason, I'm not sure why, but it's cooked enough. It was like in the 160s. So I'm going to go ahead and take these off. And I have a board over here. This is a cutting board, and then I've got wax paper over the top, and I'm using my clips to hold it on there. So we're going to use this. And I think I forgot my tongs. So my son is here. Austin, can you go and get those tongs? Thank you. And this thermometer in here is at the max, showing at the highest red mark, so it's definitely cooked. And I put a little bit of tray of water in here just to keep things moist. And we're going to put this guy on the cutting board, and we're going to let it rest. You always want to let your food rest, cool down, so all those juices can kind of meld into the meat and make it tasty. Yep, those will do. Thank you. So there's what my pig looks like. You can see it's reduced in size, and I'm sure that's really hot. We're going to go ahead and take this inside, and then we're going to tear apart the meat. I'm going to do pulled pork. And I'm also going to make pico de gallo with tortillas, and we're going to have pulled pork tortillas. So 2 different things. And I'll be back. And here we are. It's cooled down, and I'm going to start cutting it up. And we're going to start putting it in. I've got these pans that you would put a turkey in. So we're going to start putting the meat in here, and then we're going to tear it up with a fork to make pulled pork. So let's start by cutting this guy up. And we've got some different types of knives. This is my chopping knife. It's good to have. There you can see one of the hams. And sometimes you got to fight with these guys and find the exact spot where you need to cut it. And there's a good piece of the meat. Looks like it's got a good smoke to it. And in here, I wanted to show you, inside of every, like a cow or a pig, there's these little areas of meat. This is tenderloin. So these are prized pieces of meat, so you want to make sure you cut those out. And of course on a smaller animal, you're not going to get as much. But needless to say, that meat is very tender. And we're not going to separate them, we're just going to put all this together once we get all this meat harvested off this animal. And there's a lot of meat on here, you just gotta work at it. And then these are the ribs. And then here is the front shoulder. And you can see that's cooked very nicely. Then I'm going to start putting this stuff in the pan to kind of get it out of the way. And then we're going to pull all the meat off of it. So there's some pieces of meat. I'm going to go ahead and taste a piece. Very good. Has a good flavor with all the seasonings on there. No gamey flavor. Very pleased with how this turned out. I'm going to go ahead and pull off the other front shoulder. So there's a good shoulder right there. And then here is the ribs, and you've got your back straps up here. So back straps on an animal are some of the best meat as well. That's the meat right off of the spine. It's kind of like when you're filleting a fish. You've got this solid piece of meat, and it's very tender. And you get 2 of those per animal, and you want to make sure you harvest all that meat off of there. Take your time, there's no rush. So that's on the left side of the animal across the back. And this is going to be really good. So you can see the animal here. I got most of that meat off right here along that spine. Now we're going to do the other side. Sometimes you got to fight with it. There's a nice piece of meat. And being that this animal is only 15 pounds dressed out, it didn't take a whole long time to cook it. When you're cooking pork, you always want to make sure it comes to a certain temperature, because you want to kill anything like any germs or anything like that that might be on the animal, and that's including domestic pork. They always tell you what temperature you should be cooking domestic pork. This looks absolutely amazing. And this animal did not cost me anything other than my time and my gas to get out to my property to harvest this animal. And I can shoot as many of these as I would like for food. And this is really good. There's a nice chunk of meat. And once I get most of this off, I'm going to show you guys how much is in this pan. And on an animal like this, there's not a whole lot on the ribs, but you can still eat these. Some people love to eat ribs. You can literally, oh, I still got this other. Tenderloin. There's the tenderloin. I'm just throwing it all together. It's all feeling very tender. And we're just going to pull everything apart and make some pulled pork sandwiches, and we're going to make some tacos with pico de gallo. And along the spine, you'll feel where the bones are, so you'll know where to put your knife. It's kind of like on a fish. When you're cleaning fish, you can take your fillet knife and you can put it in there, and you can follow the fish spine all the way down. The same thing with an animal, whether it be a pig or a cow, a goat. And it's very easy. So now we're going to flip it around here. I got most of the meat off of that. I like this part. I like the crispy part on the animal. I'm going to save that. That comes off the rib cage. And this is up where the neck is on the animal, right here. There's meat from the neck. And that's usually fatty, which is okay. Like I said, these are wild pigs. So in Texas, we had many years ago, when the people came over from foreign countries, they would bring pigs with them for food. And over the course of the last 200 years or so, or whenever they started doing that, these pigs would sometimes escape from the pen, and they would then revert into being wild. A domestic pig will start growing tusks, and it will start learning how to eat food off the land. And a lot of the Eurasian pigs that came over from Europe, they have an elongated snout. So you can see some of these domestic pigs that escaped and became feral have mated with the European wild pig, boars, and you'll have a mixture of different snouted pigs. And either way, the meat is the same, but you'll see some that have the long snout, and pigs in general will leave you alone unless they have babies with, and they will protect their babies like a fierce mama would. So other than that, they're going to run. They aren't going to come after you, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you do get one of these animals to charge you, you could either climb a tree or get up on top of something if you have something nearby, and you could get away from the animal. But more oftentimes than not, they're gonna run. They don't want to mess with you. But they can be very aggressive. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot of meat and fat. I don't mind a little fat. Fat is what gives meat flavor. But on wild animals, you try to avoid certain species of the fat, because that'll give it a gamey flavor. It depends on what they're eating. So we got a lot of meat off this animal, and let's see if I have any more. These are all the ribs. Some people love to gnaw on these ribs. There's meat in between each of these bones. You can just simply take a knife and cut down like this, and you can gnaw on that meat. Just make sure you don't cut yourself like that. Then you can break them off, and then you can gnaw on the meat that's in between each bone. And then you can see I got just about all of this meat off of here. Might be a little bit. So it looks fantastic. It's delicious. And there's not much left other than the bones. And if you're a person that you could boil this and get the meat off of it, but I have plenty of pigs to get, so I'm not going to do that. Some people like to make a soup or whatever, and this meat will just fall right off these bones, and then you just simply take the bones off after boiling it, and then you can use the broth or the small pieces of meat, and you'll have yourself a delicious soup. So I've got most of this meat. All I'm feeling is skeleton, but I'm going to go ahead and take these gloves off. So I'm going to bring the camera over here, and I've got one of these turkey pans completely full with meat. And so I'm gonna take the shoulders and the hams, and I'm gonna break all the meat off of that and put the bones in this pile over here. And then I'm gonna start pulling the meat apart with a fork. So I will show you that after it's done. Thank you. Be right back. Okay, we're here with the final product. I went ahead and pulled all the meat off the animal, and it's all in here in this pan. Pulled pork, and I've been snacking on it and tasting it. It's really good. The flavors are really good. And I've got buns over here to make a barbecue sandwich. And I've got some of the pork that I put in this bowl and mixed in Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. And I've got some cheese and some pico de gallo or salsa for a taco. So this, got some beans back here, I guess, too. Baked beans, that goes well. And this animal will feed a lot of people. You can probably feed, oh, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 people. And tacos are really good with pulled pork. You just put whatever you want on it, cheese, pico de gallo. This time we just have salsa that's got a lot of chunky tomato flavors in there with cilantro and white onion. But this pig really turned out well. I would definitely do this again. It was, like I said, about 15 pounds after I cleaned it and everything, and it will reduce down a little bit due to the heat when you're cooking it. But that's a lot of meat right there. That's good eating. That is pulled pork. And all those seasonings in there, you can't tell any difference between that and domestic pig. So get out there and hunt one of those down. And you saw how easy it was to cook it. This is my first pig, whole pig I should say. I do a lot of other barbecuing, but hope you liked this video. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. And please like and subscribe to my channel. That really helps me out. And if you want to be notified of any other future videos, which I put out quite a few, just hit the notification bell in the upper right hand corner. Thank you all for watching. Have a great Labor Day. Take care.